Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Vaalmonica Yugioh deck profile for July 2025. This deck focuses on the pendulum variants for the Vaalmonica monsters, being able to set up different counters with each pendulum monster in the pendulum scale, and then be able to have these cards be set up with different card abilities depending on the counters we use, to be able to also get out our Link monsters for the deck, Varar, Vaalmonican Concord, and then our Link 1 monsters, which require the specific setup of the counters on our monsters on the field to then be able to summon out. It's a very, I would say, a complicated deck, but once you figure out the combos to use in the deck for the added setup with all the many different spells and traps, can definitely be a fun pendulum deck to use. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the Vaalmonica monsters, we run 3 copies of Angelo Vaalmonica. For the Pendulum Scale card effect, each time you gain life points while you control a Fiend monster card in the other Pendulum Zone, place 1 Resonance counter on this card, and once per turn when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, Link summon 1 Vaalmonica Link monster, which comes into the form of our Link 1 monsters, having the Duralume Vaalmonica Heathen Hallow, and then the Zebufera Vaalmonican Hallow Heathen for the different Link 1 monsters that we can summon out onto the field. And if this card's in your hand, you can discard one other card to take 1 Daimono Vaalmonica from your deck, place this card and that card in your Pendulum Zones, and during your main phase, if this card is normal or special on this turn, you can banish 1 Vaalmonica normal spell or trap from your graveyard, apply whichever effect is on that card, including gaining life points. So being able to then use those spells based on the gaining life point card effect of that spell as well, which with the Vaalmonica spells, they have different varying effects for those cards, depending on if you take 500 damage or gain 500 life points. For these plays to be able to use, our other Vaalmonica Pendulum monster includes Daimono Vaalmonica. With this card, each time you take effect damage while you control a fairy monster card in your other Pendulum Zone, place 1 Resonance counter on this card. Monsters your opponent control lose 100 attack for each Resonance counter on your field. So having the varying effect of our Angelo Vaalmonica, gaining life, taking damage, and then if this card's in your hand, being able to discard one other card to take 1 Angelo Vaalmonica from your deck and place this card in your Pendulum Zone and that card. And during the main phase, if it was normal or special summon, you can banish 1 Vaalmonica normal spell or trap from your graveyard and apply whichever effect is on that card, including taking damage, having the additional effect for the take damage being the 2 different angels for the Vaalmonica monsters, with the angels residing on the shoulders of our Cellatrice Vaalmonica. While you control a monster except Cellatrice Vaalmonica, your opponent's monsters cannot target this card for your attacks, and you can only use each of the following effects of Cellatrice Vaalmonica once per turn. If this card is normal or pendulum summon, you can add 1 Vaalmonica card from your deck to your hand, except for Cellatrice. And if it's sent to the graveyard and you have 2 Vaalmonica cards in your Pendulum Zone, you can add this card to your hand. The add back power is meant to be used for the Link Summon resource to then be able to use with the built-up counters needed to then be able to summon out the needed monster while we have the counters for each respected one on the field, and then adding this card back to then be able to reuse again for the Link 2 Varar Vaalmonican Concord for the additional summon out onto the field as well. So then you can use Cellatrice for the added search for the needed monster or card we want, and then after it's added back, be able to then use for the additional pendulum summon and then the additional Link 2 summon from there on out as well, and then being able to use that following play to do so. For the rest of the main deck monsters, the Vaalmonica monsters only consist of the Cellatrice and the Pendulum monsters, so the rest of the monsters include 3 Ash Blossom, the 3 Fulos, and then 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird, just a hand trap lineup to run, additionally with the other monsters in the deck to then be able to rely on. For the spells, running 3 of the field spell, being our Vaalmonica, the Agathological Voice. When it's activated, you can add 1 Vaalmonica monster from your deck to your hand. If the card in your Pendulum Zone has a 3rd Resonance counter placed on it, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, take control of it until the end phase, but it cannot declare an attack. You can use this effect of Vaalmonica, the Agathological Voice, once per turn, and you can activate 1 of this card once per turn as well. So you can even just take your opponent's monster as the resource needed to summon out for rare, needing 2 monsters, including a Vaalmonica Link monster. So when you use your Cellatrice for the Link summon, adding it back, you could still just use 1 of your opponent's monsters and have this monster additionally on top of that opponent's monster you took for the field spell play. We're also running 3 copies of Vaalmonica Celta. With this normal spell, apply one of these effects unless you have a Vaalmonica card in your Pendulum Zone. You choose the effect, you gain 500 life points, then place with this card. You have the play for the card. You gain 500 life points, then you can place 1 card from your hand on the bottom of the deck and draw 2 cards, or take 500 damage, then you can add 1 Vaalmonica spell trap from your deck to your hand, except for Vaalmonica Celta, which can then, once you also have the pendulum scales built up, when you take or gain life points, you will then add the counter onto your Vaalmonica card also, and then being able to only activate 1 per turn, but then you can use the actual cards as well for the added play of being able to then copy the cards we have in the graveyard for the additional effect also. The 3 of the quick play spell, Vaalmonica Invitaire. You apply one of these effects. You can special summon 1 Vaalmonica monster from your deck. Also for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you not activate the effects of monsters on the field except for Vaalmonica monsters. And if you control a non-pendulum Vaalmonica monster, take 2 Vaalmonica pendulum monsters with different names from your deck, add 1 to your hand, then add the other to face up to your X deck. You can only activate 1 Invitaire per turn, but being able to just control a non-pendulum Vaalmonica monster, which can be our Cellatrice, and then have the Cellatrice be able to search out this card as well to then start off the pendulum play for our cards also. We're also running 2 copies of Vaalmonica Disharmonia. You place 1 resonance counter on 1 card in your Pendulum Zone that you can place a resonance counter on, then apply one of these effects. You gain 500 life points, then add 1 of your banished Vaalmonica cards to your hand, except for Disharmonia, or take 500 and add 1 Vaalmonica card from your graveyard to your hand. So either from the banished or the graveyard, Disharmonia helps for the add back counter, along with being able to place a counter on your cards. So then when you gain those additional plays as well, you'll gain the additional counter on top of the one used for Disharmonia. Just running 2 though, because the cards already have to be set up. You have the additional add of your cards, but then you also have the counter, but you have to have those cards in the banish or the graveyard to add back to fully benefit from this spell. And then the 1 copy of Vaalmonica Intonnerre and the 1 Vaalmonica Versaire for the added gain power as well. And then your opponent chooses the effect unless you have the Vaalmonica card in your Pendulum Zone, gaining life points. And then if you have any monster in your graveyard, you can special summon. Your opponent chooses 1 for you to special summon off of Intonnerre or add from your graveyard to your hand. And then Versaire being able to activate the top card of your deck. And if you activate a Vaalmonica card, add to your hand or take 500, then send 1 Vaalmonica card from your deck to the graveyard. More and more set up to then be used with some of our other spells in the deck also. And then the last of these spells just being 1 copy of Call by the Grave. The search and setup that we do in this deck definitely needs to resolve, so having cards that can at least restrict our opponent from stopping us do come in handy for those spots. And then for the traps, we're running 3, which is the newest card for the deck, which from Rage of the Abyss, which actually never did an update for the Vaalmonica deck since that set, that being Vaalmonica Hereditaire. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you control a Vaalmonica Link monster, negate the activation, and if you do destroy that card, you can banish this card from your graveyard, shuffle into the deck Vaalmonica cards from your face-up extra deck, graveyard, and or banishment, except for Vaalmonica Hereditaire, up to the number of resonance counters on your field. Then you can draw 1 card for every 3 cards shuffled. You can only use 1 Vaalmonica Hereditaire effect per turn, and only once a turn. So not only do you have the negate option, but being a trap, you can then use this card as well on your opponent's turn to shuffle into the deck and then have more of a recycle draw power for you to set up more and more cards for you to use for your Vaalmonica plays during the following turn. We're also running the 1 of copies of Vaalmonica Creation, the 1 copy of Vaalmonica Followed Rhythm, and the 1 Chosen Melody. Have the gain and take options for both of the traps. And then with Vaalmonica Creation, while you have 6 or more resonance counters on the field, Vaalmonica Link monsters you control gain 1200 attack, giving us more of the added attack boost to our already 3000 attack point rare Vaalmonica Concord. And then you can only use it to the following effects of Creation once per turn. If your opponent special summons a monster, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, link summon 1 Vaalmonica Link monster, and if this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, place 1 resonance counter on 1 card on your Pendulum Zone. You can place a resonance counter so it has 3 resonance counters, giving you the needed counters to be able to summon out our Link 1 monsters. And then lastly for the traps, 3 additional copies of Infinite Impermanence, just more set up with all the other traps we run in the deck. We have a counter trap, we have an additional trap that can stop monster effects, also killing off an entire column of what we place it in. You just have to have that full field set up for added protection and then negation of our opponent's cards. For the extra deck, we are running 2 copies of our Zebufera, the Vaalmonica Hallowed Heathen. This is the Link 1 Fiend, needing 1 effect monster. It cannot be Link summoned unless you have 3 or more resonance counters on Fiend monster cards in your Pendulum Zone, which we could also use our opponent's monster just for the Link 1, since we can take it with our field spell. And then you can only special summon Zebufera once per turn this way. If a card you control be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove 3 resonance counters from your Pendulum Zone, and once per turn, quick effect, you can target one of your Vaalmonica normal spell or traps that is banished in your graveyard and apply that card's effect activation, giving you more setup and also having a Link 1 2500 attack point boss monster to swing at your opponent. Same with our Duralume Vaalmonica Heathen Hallow, the fairy counterpart, needing the resonance counters on the fairy monster, and also special summon this card once per turn. If it's Link summon, you can target one monster your opponent controls up to the number of resonance counters in your Pendulum Zone and destroy them. So then you have the destruction power with this card, and then being able to use the Hallowed Heathen to then have the added option for protection. So kind of like a countering play for each one to use, with our Link 2 being Varere Vaalmonica Concord, needing 2 monsters including the Vaalmonica Link monster, unaffected by card effects except Vaalmonica cards, while you have 6 or more resonance counters on your field, gains 1 additional attack during each battle phase for each level 4 Vaalmonica monster you control, and once per turn, when your opponent would special summon a monster, if you have 3 or more resonance counters on your field, you can negate the special summon, and if you do, destroy those monsters, then remove 3 resonance counters from your field. So having more resonance counters makes this card all the more powerful, and then having more Vaalmonica monsters on your field makes it all the more stronger for the multiple attacks that it can do as well. With the other Link monsters being 1 SP Little Knight, the 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Dark the Dark Charmer, along with 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and the 1 Access Code Talker, with our Xyz monsters being the 1 Exciton Knight, along with the 1 Baguska, the 1 Tornado Dragon, and the 1 Sky Crisis to finish off the Xyz monsters and the extra deck. Now, as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I mentioned, the field spell being able to activate and add a Vaalmonica monster from our deck to our hand can then give us our search for our Cellatrice. We can summon out our Cellatrice, and when it's normal or Pendulum Summon, add 1 Vaalmonica card from our deck to our hand, so then we can use this card to add our Vaalmonica Invitaire. Special summoning 1 Vaalmonica monster from your deck, also for the rest of this turn. If this card resolves, you can activate monster effects except for Vaalmonica, but since we control a non-Pendulum Vaalmonica monster, we can take 2 Vaalmonica Pendulum monsters with different names from your deck, add 1 to your hand, and the other to the face-up extra deck. So then, the one of choice we can add to our hand, placing the other face-up in the extra deck, using the effect of Angela Vaalmonica with the banish of a Vaalmonica spell or trap from your play, being able to discard one other card. So as long as we have that other card, which once again, with all this we've done so far, we've only had 1 card in hand, being the field spell, going into our Cellatrice, going into our spell, and then these 2 cards, discarding the 1 additional card in our hand with our Angelo Vaalmonica to then set up the additional Demono in the other Pendulum scale, and then from there as well, being able to Pendulum Summon out the 1 we placed in the extra deck out onto the field. It'll go to the extra monster zone, but then with this card, if it was special summon, you can banish a Vaalmonica normal spell or trap from your graveyard, apply which effect includes taking damage for that card on the spell, but we only have the normal spell. So if you are able to discard off of your discarded play 1 of your Vaalmonica cards, all the better, because then you can use your Demono to have the play of the banish of that card, and then copy whichever play it has on it, then being able to then use that additional spell. So if you take the damage, not only will it set up a counter on your Demono Vaalmonica, it'll give you a search for an additional spell to then just continue the gaining plays, which then you use with each and every one, building up the counters on the specific one you want, then using that monster for the Link 1 play once you set up the 3 counters to be able to summon out and have that bigger monster that can then resolve with your resonance counters on the field. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, the deck has had a lot of support throughout many sets, with Rage of the Abyss being the latest one, and it's definitely a deck that focuses on using those counters at the very specific time for you to then focus on which summon you want to get out for the deck also. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.